Hi everybody, this is probably going to be a long video because there's a little bit of everything in this video. There's no particular topic, but I was inspired to finally upload something. Yesterday I received a package in the mail that was a very welcome package. It was the Hiram Green Discovery set. And in particular, I was very excited to try out the new perfume, TRYST. Now, several years ago, probably like in my first year or so of being on this channel or doing this channel, I did a review of a Hiram Green perfume that is now discontinued called Dilettante. And I'll leave a link to that video now, and it was one of the first truly representative perfumes of orange blossom, neroli, petitgrain. It was just this bright, sparkly, summery thing that I became enamored with. And the reason I was impelled to make this video was because TRYST is a new perfume, but it is, I guess, a salute to that previous perfume, Dilettante, and I was keen to try it. For various reasons, Dilettante was discontinued, and from my understanding, this perfume is, I guess, like you could call it, more a reworking as opposed to a full-on reformulation. It's also been renamed. And I have to say that when I first sprayed this on my hand, literally within minutes of me getting home last night and opening the package, it just brought back a rush of nostalgia, because the last time I clearly remember the last time that I wore Dilettante, and it was probably 2018, I want to say, or late 2017. It was summer, and I was out. Back then, my daughter was playing softball, and I was out watching that game. It was a very warm day, and I had Dilettante on, and the opening of TRYST is really, really reminiscent to me. And please bear in mind that these are only first impressions at the moment. I haven't done a full test, full wearing to really dig deep into what I'm smelling and how it reacts on my skin. Albeit to say that for the rest of yesterday evening, TRYST was developing on the back of my hand. Now, I will say that from memory, I recall Dilettante being fairly linear as well as extremely long-lasting for a perfume of this scent profile. It bears reminding that Hiram Green uses all-natural ingredients for his perfumes, and in terms of that, I think for one of the brands that I have tried, I haven't tried a lot of all-natural brands extensively, but I have to say, of the ones that I've tried, Hiram Green manages to use all naturals in his perfume without making them smell muddy and undefined like a lot of all-natural perfumes tend to be to my nose. And he in the line, in this whole line of he's managed to create very distinctive individual scent profiles with each of them, and also managed to make them last a long time on my skin. I don't know what sorcery he is using to do this, but I'm really, really impressed with the fact that he's managing this using all naturals. Back to TRYST. Like I said, it immediately reminded me of Dilettante when it opened, and as it started to dry down, this is where I got an idea of how he's reworked this, how he's tweaked it. And I'm a bit hesitant to call this a reformulation because generally reformulations tend to happen due to the unavailability of certain materials or the cost of certain materials, and perfumers, houses, brands try and reformulate to adjust to that environment. Here, I think that my impression is that the perfumer has decided to take this initial idea and see if he can improve it. And I have to say, based on the very, very limited wearing of TRYST, I think he's managed to do that and created a different perfume to Dilettante. So I want to be clear that I don't view this as a reformulation of Dilettante. For people that loved Dilettante, I think they will absolutely like TRYST. What I find with this perfume is it develops and takes, once you get into the base notes and the dry down, it takes a slightly warmer turn than Dilettante used to. And so there is the interest in the way this develops and changes. And I can't help viewing it on this sort of spectrum of colour with neroli, orange blossom, petitgrain. It starts off bright yellowy orange, then you definitely move into this sort of green phase where you start to get a lot of the twigs and leaves coming through. And then when you get to the dry down, I can't smell it much now, but a few hours in, last night I was sitting just watching TV, and occasionally, as I'm wont to do, raise my hand to my nose, and it was really strange because I knew that I'd only sprayed TRYST on my hand, and a few hours later I had a sniff and I thought, when did I spray this new perfume on? Because it suddenly smelled different to me, and although it's not listed on the official note pyramid, I definitely got a sense of something that smelled very close to a carnation accord, clovey. It suddenly moved from yellow-orange to the green and into this sort of warm, mauvey red phase, which I really liked, took me by surprise, and was fascinated by, and I'm a big fan of that carnation type of profile, and I want to say that I'm not here saying that there is carnation or anything resembling that in the perfume, because I don't know what the formula is, but it smells like that to me. So it got warmer and it got spicier, and I think it's really, really interesting. And if that sounds good to you and you also loved Dilettante when it was available, I highly recommend that you have a smell, and why not just get the Discovery set and try all of them, because I've tried several Hiram greens, and one that I've always wanted to test was Arbole, which is a weird, funny little weird green patchouli it starts off. And again, with that one develops as well and moves into this kind of warmer, it gets really powdery by the end of it. And I really, really enjoyed that one as well. But these are reviews for another time. And by all means, if you want me to review any specific Hiram Green perfumes, let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure that I test them at some point and make a video. But this video today isn't just about that. The Discovery set was kind of a bit of an inspiration for me to sit in front of the camera, and I know I haven't uploaded in quite a while. And funnily enough, sitting here today, I actually feel a little bit nervous, like I'm doing this for the first time, and it's weird that that happens because I've been doing this for so long now. There were a few ideas floating around in my head for my next video. I had no intention of taking as long a break as I have, but as I've mentioned on a post on YouTube, I just kind of have been feeling a little bit unmotivated, uninspired, not having smelled much that's really made me want to talk about it and share it with you guys. But I was thinking about, one of the ideas that I was thinking about that was floating around in my head was, if I could go back in time and 7 or 8 years when I first started this channel and sort of give myself advice starting out, not as a YouTuber, but as a perfume enthusiast or fraghead, what advice would I give myself with all the things that I've kind of learned and know about now? And a couple of things sort of popped into my head. I'll start with this will be a little bit stream of consciousness, and I might go off on some tangents here, but one of the things that has changed, especially here in Australia compared to 7 or 8 years ago, is now we seem to have a lot more access to a lot more brands, and it's easier to try stuff that it was simply just too hard to order back then and try. So I was kind of limited to whatever the few perfumeries around here stocked, what the department stores stocked, and there were a few online resources, but otherwise, you had to order stuff internationally, and that's always a big headache in terms of shipping. And, if you want to buy samples, the shipping usually worked out to be more than what you were spending on the samples. But the first thing I would advise old pep or new pep starting out in perfumery and this hobby in general is 3 words: sample, sample, sample. And the reason being is because back then I used to, I blind bought a hell of a lot more stuff, and basically I want to say, ballpark figure, 80% of the bottles, the full bottles that I blind bought in the first couple of years of doing this, I've since gotten rid of and sold. And it would be a lot easier if I was starting out now. If I look back at a lot of those perfume bottles, I could probably much more easily get samples and try them out that way. There are like several really good places you can order samples internationally that are sites specifically for samples of a wide range of perfumes now. I'll link a couple in the description, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some, but hopefully whoever's watching this, if I've missed any and you've got some suggestions on where you buy your samples from, put them in the comments. Another good resource, now I hate Facebook in general and going on Facebook, but the only reason I have a Facebook account is to be in Facebook fragrance groups, and particularly local to your area, because I find joining, for instance, an Australian Facebook fragrance group, I can put the word out if I'm looking for a particular perfume to try. People on there generally are happy to sell decants of their own bottles to you, and it's all local, so there are no shipping difficulties to get through there. And when it comes to trying samples, another piece of advice I would give myself would be to use up the whole sample. So Generally, I like to have a minimum of 2 ml to try to sample. I just don't find 1 ml is enough for me to make up my mind properly. So I need to get all the wares I can out of that particular sample or decant. And the reason I would advise myself to finish the sample is because so many times over the last half a dozen years, I have tried perfumes and decided on first wearing that I don't like it, or vice versa. I really like it, and in the first instance, I would forget about it and not wear it again. And in the cases of where I've sprayed something first time and say I must have this bottle, I've gone out and bought a bottle. And in some ways, it's almost the same as blind buying because a lot of the times I've then worn it more regularly from the bottle, and it's not that, and this is nothing to do with it smelling differently to the sample, but I personally can't make up my mind about how I feel about a perfume until I've worn it several times, and I've ended up with bottles that were love at first spray, and then sort of just over time became boring. And that could also have something to do with my tastes changing or developing. And so you have to kind of allow for that. And if I've got a sample, say 2 or 3 mils, that's going to give me at least 5 or 6 full wears, scented a days. And after that, I know by the time I've drained that sample that I either need this perfume or I'm going to miss this perfume, or it was nice while I had it, but I don't really care about owning it anymore, or it's just not for me. I gave it a good chance and it doesn't work for me. I don't like it. And so that would definitely be my main advice in terms of trying perfumes and finding out about your tastes and what you like and what you're willing to spend your money on, because that leads me to another point about for a long time I was adamant about no perfume can be worth this arbitrary price point I'd set myself, and I would ignore perfumes that were above a certain price based not so much based on my personal budget, but based on I just couldn't believe something would smell good enough to warrant that expense. And I've kind of softened on that a bit. Now, what I will say, and I'm strong on this, is please, if you're kind of new to this, never go beyond your financial means for perfume, because you have options. So if you, even if it is, if you fall in love with a $800 bottle of perfume, maybe, and you can't afford that, that's not within your financial means, satisfy yourself with a decant. I would always go that option rather than finding a cheap clone of that perfume, because I know some people are fans of clones, but I know for myself in the back of my mind that, and this could be psychological, but I know that I haven't got the original perfume, and something will be gnawing in the back of my head where I'm recognizing almost subconsciously that this is not quite the same as the original perfume that I fell in love with. This is a very personal thing, and as a rule, as a general principle, I'm against the idea of clones and someone else's idea being ripped off and money being made from it. But definitely stay within your financial means. Don't give yourself added stress of overspending money, which should be going to necessities. That's my soapbox on that. So consider it. I mean, yes, it's nice to have the bottles, to have a nice collection of bottles and show them off and take pictures of them and post them on Instagram. But if you can get past that slightly superficial phase of perfume collecting, and you're enjoying the perfume, decants and samples is where it's at. And never feel that you can sample too much, because there's so many different perfumes that exist in the world. What I would say to you in regards to that is that only you can know when you're ready to have a bottle. And I know people that just are not chronic samplers, but like they love the sampling of perfumes more than the collecting of bottles. And this, there's a whole spectrum of perfume loving types that exist in the world, and each of them, is justified in the way they approach this art form. Having said that, it is an art form. It's also a business for a lot of, especially for all brands that sell on the market. And which leads me to the next point. The next bit of advice I would give myself is that wherever possible, if you are going to spend your hard-earned money, wherever possible, and let's say you've fallen in love with indie perfume, niche perfume, whoever it might be. But here I'm kind of focusing more on indie perfumes, because indie brands are usually one or two people operations. They're not owned by conglomerates, and they really rely on your patronage. And if you want to buy an indie perfume, I know that I would now, wherever possible, sometimes it's just not possible. They won't ship to you, or it's just not available, and it's available at retail. But wherever possible, order directly from the brand website or whatever their selling channel is, and you know that they're getting 100% of the money that you're paying for that product. It makes you feel a little bit better inside knowing that you're fully 100% supporting that, because, brands that have retail options, that's great. They get a bit more exposure, but they're obviously not getting 100% of the sale that they could be. And I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Like I said, this is kind of unplanned. This is an improvised sort of video, and I just wanted to get all this stuff out of my head and on record, I guess. I'll wrap up this video because I'm no longer. I don't want to say never, but I haven't been doing my weekly rotations, and I'm not sure if I'll start that up again. I was just kind of getting a little bit bored with them, and I was also conscious that you guys were probably seeing me talk about the same perfume bottles all the time, and I don't buy a lot of new stuff. I still sample quite a few new things, but probably not enough to make those weekly rotation videos interesting. But I will tell you what I wore in the last month. It's I know it's 1 week into July already. We are peak winter here in the Southern Hemisphere in Melbourne, Australia. So it's been as cold as it will get, pretty much. So I've naturally been gravitating towards some warm, cozy perfumes, and I've got 4 perfumes that were my most worn over the last month, mainly over June, and all of these I wore about 8 times each. So the first one is Maginois by Lancôme, beautiful green mossy chypre that has just a little bit of, well, for want of a better word, magic about it. It's just a lovely, dark, mysterious perfume. My ultimate comfort scent, Eau de Bois by L'Occitane. What can I say about that? It's just a staple for me in winter, and I can't even imagine ever being without it. Au Noir from Christian Dior, magical scent as well. And more recently, I went through a week of wearing Habinita by Molinard, and I'll just say that perfume I realised is definitely not one, absolutely love it, but it's definitely not one that I can ever imagine becoming something that I could wear every day, because by the end of the week, it was really interesting because when I was wearing it, that perfume definitely is one that tends to wear me a little bit. It lasts all day and I smell it. And I did want to bring in, it's been so cold that I've been wearing this scarf pretty regularly. And the beauty of doing this in winter and wearing a bunch of different perfumes is that every time I take this off the coat rack to put on in the morning before I head out, I just get the most amazing aroma of all of these different perfumes that I'm wearing. And yeah, I guess I should wash it at some point, but it just smells so good, and something like I've been really enjoying. If there's something I'm going to enjoy about winter, it's smelling my scarf in the morning after I've worn all these beautiful perfumes. Okay, that's enough from me. I'm done talking. I feel like this has been a good therapy session for me. Hopefully it will reignite my motivation to post more videos. And as always, I appreciate everyone that watches this channel, supports me, and I look forward to talking and seeing some of you soon. Okay, bye.